I, 27F, accidentally had my baby in my friend's 31F car. Now her husband and she don't want to speak to me. How do I fix this? I never thought I'd find myself in a situation where I'd give birth in a friend's car. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? Let me take you back to a couple of weeks ago, when I was just shy of 38 weeks pregnant. My partner had stepped out for a few hours to help her brother, which was totally fine by us. Little did I know, I was about to embark on an unexpected adventure. My friend Alice, bless her heart, offered to keep me company while I waited for my partner to return. We spent the day watching movies and chatting, and while I was definitely feeling uncomfortable, I didn't think much of it. After all, I had been experiencing discomfort for a while. But as the day progressed, things took a turn. At some point, we realized that I was indeed going into labor. Panic set in, and I called my partner to let her know what was happening. We briefly considered waiting for her to come back, but things escalated quickly. I turned to Alice and asked her to drive me to the hospital. She agreed, but we didn't quite make it there. Instead, I ended up giving birth to my beautiful daughter in the back seat of her husband's car. Thankfully, both my baby and I were okay, despite a few complications that have since resolved. However, my partner was understandably upset about missing the birth, which added another layer of complexity to the situation. Now here's where things got a bit messy, literally. 2 days after the birth, I sent Alice a message, thanking her for everything she had done, and jokingly asked her to send me a bill for cleaning the car. I thought it was lighthearted, but her response was less than enthusiastic. She didn't reply for a while, and eventually just liked my message. I tried reaching out a few more times, but each time I was met with silence. Then her husband sent me a message saying not to contact her anymore, though he did congratulate me on the baby. He also made it clear that he was upset about the state of his car. I felt lost and confused. This was so out of character for Alice, and I couldn't help but wonder if I had traumatized her in some way. I knew my priority should be my new family, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to fix things with Alice. I reached out to some friends for advice, and they suggested that I give her some space. One person even mentioned that her husband might be controlling, which made me worry even more. After some reflection, I decided to send one last message to Alice, letting her know I was available to talk whenever she felt ready. I figured that was the best I could do. I really appreciated everything she had done for me that day, and I didn't want to lose our friendship over an unexpected birth in her car. As I navigated the early days of motherhood, I couldn't help but think about the mess in her car. I learned that cleaning up after a birth is no small task, and I never realized how serious it could be. I even considered sending her a check for the cleaning costs, just to show that I was taking responsibility for the situation. In hindsight, I should have called an ambulance instead of relying on a friend's car, but at that moment, everything happened so fast. I was just grateful that my daughter was healthy, and that I had a supportive partner to lean on. So here I am, trying to focus on my little family, while also hoping to mend things with Alice. It's a delicate balance, and I'm learning that life can be unpredictable. But I'm determined to make things right, one step at a time. I never imagined that my journey into motherhood would take such an unexpected turn. It all started when I, a 27-year-old woman, found myself in labor while riding in my friend Alice's car. Alice, who is 31, was kind enough to give me a ride, but things took a dramatic twist when I unexpectedly went into labor. In the chaos of the moment, I ended up giving birth in her car. It was a surreal experience, and while I was overjoyed to welcome my little one into the world, I was also acutely aware of the mess I had created. Alice's car was not just a vehicle, it was a significant part of her life, and I felt terrible about what had happened. After the birth, I reached out to Alice to apologize for the situation. I knew I had to take responsibility for the damage to her car, and I was determined to make things right. I offered to pay for the repairs and even suggested renting a vehicle for her while we sorted everything out. I was sincere in my apologies, but I quickly realized that my messages might not have conveyed the depth of my remorse. As the days passed, I noticed that Alice had blocked me on social media, leaving me feeling lost and anxious. I was overwhelmed with guilt and unsure of how to proceed. I wanted to reach out again, perhaps through a mutual friend, but I was hesitant. I knew I had messed up, and I wanted to fix it, but I didn't want to push her further away. Then, a few days later, I received an unexpected visit from Alice. I was thrilled to see her, even though she had blocked me previously. We both ended up in tears, overwhelmed by the emotions of the past few weeks. During our conversation, she shared that while she had initially been upset with me, her feelings had shifted. She realized that her anger was more about the situation than about me personally. However, her husband was a different story. He had been furious about the incident, and I could understand why. He wasn't exactly my biggest fan, and this incident had only fueled his anger. Alice explained that he had convinced her to be upset with me, which complicated things further. Despite this, she expressed that she didn't want to dwell on the negativity anymore. She wanted to move forward, but she acknowledged that rebuilding our friendship would take time. Throughout our conversation, I apologized again for everything that had happened. I wished I had communicated better and been more considerate of her feelings. To my relief, Alice even made a light-hearted comment about being a significant part of my birth story, which eased some of the tension. As for the car, thankfully, it wasn't totaled. The damage was primarily to the front seat where I had been sitting, and I had taken the brunt of the mess myself. We had already arranged for the car to be cleaned and repaired, and I had covered all the costs. Still, I could sense that her husband was uncomfortable with the idea of driving it again, which was understandable. In the midst of all this, I was also processing my own feelings about the birth experience. It had been overwhelming, and I realized I needed to address my own trauma from the situation. I was grateful for the support I received from the online community, which helped me reflect on how I could have handled things differently. As I move forward, I'm committed to being a better friend to Alice, even if it means taking things slow. I hope that with time we can rebuild our friendship and find a way to navigate this unique experience together. Thank you to everyone who offered their advice and support during this challenging time. Your words have been invaluable, and I'm ready to embrace the journey ahead, both as a new mother and as a friend. I never imagined that I would end up giving birth in my friend's car. It was a day like any other, and I was just a few days past my due date, feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety about welcoming my little one into the world. My friend, who I'll call Sarah, had graciously offered to drive me to the hospital when the time came. Little did we know that time was about to arrive much sooner than expected. As we were driving, I started to feel some intense contractions. At first, I thought it was just a false alarm, but soon it became clear that this was the real deal. I was in labor, and there was no way I could wait to reach the hospital. Panic set in, but Sarah remained calm and supportive, reassuring me that we would make it through this together. However, things took a turn when I realized that there was no way we would reach the hospital in time. With every passing moment, the contractions intensified, and before I knew it, I was giving birth right there in the backseat of her car. It was surreal and chaotic, but Sarah was amazing, helping me through the process and keeping me focused. Once my beautiful baby was finally in my arms, I felt an overwhelming sense of joy and relief. But as I looked around, reality hit me. We were in Sarah's car, and it was a bit of a mess. I could see the concern etched on her face, and I knew that this wasn't exactly the way she had envisioned helping me. After the excitement settled down, and we made it to the hospital, I thought everything would be fine. However, I soon learned that Sarah and her husband were not as thrilled about the situation as I had hoped. Her husband seemed particularly upset, and I could sense that he felt the car had been totaled by the experience. I was taken aback by his reaction. I mean, how could a car be considered ruined just because a baby was born in it? In the days that followed, I noticed a shift in Sarah's demeanor. She seemed distant, and I could tell that her husband's frustration was weighing heavily on her. I tried to reach out and reassure her that I held no hard feelings about the car or the situation. After all, it was a unique experience for both of us, and I was just grateful that she had been there to help me. Eventually, Sarah did apologize for the tension, and I appreciated her honesty. I understood that her husband's feelings were influencing her, and I didn't want to hold anything against her. I was just happy to have my baby healthy and safe. However, it was clear that her husband still harbored some resentment towards me, which made things a bit awkward. Now I find myself wondering how to mend things with Sarah and her husband. I don't want this unexpected birth experience to come between our friendship. I've thought about reaching out again, perhaps suggesting a casual get-together to lighten the mood and remind them of the joy that came from that day. After all, we welcomed a new life into the world together, and I'd love to celebrate that rather than dwell on the chaos that ensued. So here I am seeking advice on how to navigate this delicate situation. I truly value my friendship with Sarah and want to ensure that we can move past this awkwardness. Any thoughts on how to approach this would be greatly appreciated.